I have a take that is so common that it couldn't possibly be taken as an L. Serial Experiments Lain is one of the most important anime of all time. Thank you. I've always heard that Lain was ahead of its time, given that it
very accurately predicted everyone with access to technology would be consumed by it.
But I never really got it. It's cool, yeah, but it didn't fully make sense. However, there are two scenes from Serial Experiments Lain from my recent rewatch that highlight its importance and my newfound understanding.
Present day. Present time.
Before we get to my main point, let me tell you a story that interests me. Let's go back to 1998, when Serial Experiments Lain first aired. Serial Experiments Lain follows a middle schooler named Lain Iwakura, who at the beginning of the series is shown to be quite shy. After a string of both horrific and confusing events, we learn that Lain isn't just any girl, Lain is a special girl.
What are you?
If you want to learn why, I recommend you watch Serial Experiments Lain if you haven't already, and check out the episode that I plan on making about it on my podcast, The Home for Anime, when it drops. While Lain was airing in Japan, there was something deeply sick, and by sick I mean cool as hell, happening in the background. Put a pin in that. Many people in their 20s, 30s, and 40s who are into anime may point to the bright days of Toonami or Fox Kids. Shows like Sailor Moon, Dragon Ball Z, Yu Yu Hakusho, Pokemon, etc. But around the same time, something equally revolutionary was happening. Let me ask a broad question. Are you familiar with PBS? The PBS that aired childhood classics like Clifford the Big Red Dog, Dragon Tales, and the show that awakened something in my prepubescent brain, Maya and Miguel. In the late 1990s, there was an uncompromising programming block on PBS called KTEH that ran anime like the Robotech series, Urusei Yatsura, Neon Genesis Evangelion, and, as is the topic of this video, Serial Experiments Lain. On their own, any of these anime airing on network television would have been a big deal, but airing them all in the span of a few years was a marvel to behold, I'm sure. And this was mainly due to the KTEH programming director Karen Roberts' careful curation of titles throughout the years. To call her influential to America's introduction to anime is an understatement. Indeed, Miss Roberts' work is a big reason that over the past 5 years, more of us have been able to come out of the woodwork and say, I like anime.
We used to beat people up for saying things like that. Everything's all topsy-turvy now.
Remember that cool as hell thing I said was happening while the anime was airing in Japan? What makes Serial Experiments Lain even more fascinating is that it was one of, if not the last show in KTEH's anime run. But the reason why is that they spent years trying to get the license to screen it in the States.
Lain, one of the most interesting, most highly stylized anime series we have yet been able to bring you. We have been in search of this series for 2 years. We have been trying to convince the distributor to let us have a crack at it, but until now they were unwilling. Well, finally they have come through and allowed us to show this to you.
How did she know? Perhaps like Lain herself, Roberts was ahead of her time. Unfortunately, she passed away after a brave and courageous battle against cancer, though I hope she would be proud of what her work ended up bringing to the West. Okay, story time over. Now, I need you to follow me very carefully because it's going to seem like I'm going off the rails. It leads to a singular point, I promise. A few months ago, while I was on holiday, I watched Ghost in the Shell Standalone Complex's first season over the course of a week, and it was good. I enjoyed it. But something caught my eye. It brings me joy to see and share memes that I find funny. So imagine my surprise when I got to episode 6 and the title was Meme. But wait, the show may take place in 2030, but it was made in 2002. In pure shock, I scrambled to find any answer possible. Hey Google, when were memes invented?
These pictures should match.
50 years ago? So the term meme was created by a science communicator, among other professions, Richard Dawkins, to describe the concept of cultural transmission, an idea that spreads from person to person within or across cultures. Decades later, the internet appropriated the term, aptly and fittingly coining internet meme, which is what most of us know today. You know, the dankest and funniest essence of our being that we transmit from our computers and phones to one another. And they're an international phenomenon. There are so many from literally everywhere. If you were to stop and think right now of any image or photo, there's a high chance it's a meme. It's starting to click now, isn't it? Don't worry, we're almost done. Serial Experiments Lain says in its End of Evangelion-esque endgame that the goal is to assimilate all beings into the wired. The number of people on the planet is rapidly approaching the number of neurons in the brain. Well, while that's an over-exaggeration, there is some merit to it, and it isn't stopping. You know what else isn't stopping? The widespread circulation of news and media such as TV, radio, film, comics, electronic books, and especially memes. So we go back to the two clips. The first clip is genius in its own right for a few reasons. If we take a look at the technology present in Serial Experiments Lain, it looks like it could have come from any point between 1998 and 2050. Just like fashion flip-flops between sleek and baggy among other styles, so too does technology. Flip phones and cargos are back, baby. The present day, present time, quote, makes sense because what happens in the show could literally happen, or should I say is kind of happening now. Whether this anime came out in 1998, 2005, 2016, or today, the ambiguity of present day, present time is an excellent prelude to each episode. This ties in with the second clip, which, as I'm sure you know, isn't from the actual anime. Shocking, I know. I apologize for lying to you. This is a mod for the 2010 game Skate 3 that replaces the game's avatar with Lain. Seeing this absolute unit of a meme inspired me to make this video because this has the possibility to reach quite literally billions of people. Lain is influential enough to have made it into a mod and is shredding to her own theme song. As is in the show, Lain officially has a way, whether through the anime, the memes, or the people like me who talk about her on the internet, to be a connector. While we may not reach the singularity that the show promises, or threatens, we can all technically experience the same thing now, and that is a lot to take in, but honestly, I just think it's neat.